Today we're taking a quick trip down memory lane and talking about 10 games that you would not believe are actually 15 years old. Whether it's for graphics or gameplay features or just the time and place. If you've been playing games for a while, some of these might catch you by surprise that they're 15 years old. We got 10 games, so let's get started off with number 10 and talk about Far Cry 2. Yes, Far Cry 2 is now officially kind of old. It actually released in 2008, and it was the big deal follow-up to the original Far Cry. This is before the Far Cry games became what they are today, kind of the formulaic open-world games where you kind of know what to expect. Far Cry 2 really was ahead of its time in a lot of gameplay concepts. The level of challenge, the level of thought really required and really put into the game and all of its elements, and also those really cool fire effects where fire would spread and things would actually burn realistically. To this day, a lot of people still think Far Cry 2 is one of the better games, specifically just because it was so creative. It was a little different. It changed the setting, it tried to make things a little bit more realistic, a little bit more engaging, and again, it was pretty ahead of its time. Still, despite being ahead of its time, it's actually roughly 15 years old now. It released in 2008. And it feels even further away when you think about it now against the current context of Far Cry games. I mean, we're on Far Cry 6 now, and Far Cry 6 is a really, really different game from what Far Cry 2 was or was even trying to be. Still, it's got a special spot in some gamers' hearts for a reason. Next, over at number 9, we have the original Portal. Yes, Portal is 15 years old. If anything, I actually feel like Portal was older than that, but yep, believe it or not, the first Portal released in October of 2007, and it was an absolutely massive deal. Valve's kind of seemingly on the surface humble, very low-key puzzler style game with portals ended up being nothing short of mind-blowing, and people were absolutely obsessed from everything with this game. The design elements, the music, the sound effects, the style, the actual challenging puzzles themselves. Portal really absolutely blew up. And it has been 15 years since that happened. Of course, a couple of years later, we got Portal 2, but since then, nothing really. Little hints, little nuggets, little short things here and there, but never a full-fledged Portal sequel. At the very least, while there is no actual Portal 3, fans and the community have done a really good job making like fan kind of modded style new games that actually almost feel like genuine sequels to Portal. And I mean, we were just talking about some of them last year. So I mean, for the fact that since Portal kicked things off in 2007, now fast forward 15-ish years later to 2003, the Portal games, or really the concept of them, have some true staying power. Especially considering that first game, at least for me, it felt like it came out of nowhere. It's getting to the point where it's almost hard to remember back when it released, but yeah, it's been a while. Now, next over at number 8, we have Killzone 2, which, believe it or not, released February of 2009, and this game was the big PlayStation 3 thing for a long time. Do you remember the early trailers for this game? The big E3 reveals of gameplay trailers that definitely looked like pre-rendered cinematics, but they were kind of being passed off as gameplay. Things were a little blurry back then. If you were smart enough, you could probably realize it wasn't gameplay, but for me, as a younger person, I was blown away by some of those trailers. Still, when the final game finally released in 2009, it still turned out to be pretty sweet. It really kind of took the original Killzone and ran with it. It was a much better game. It was a much better playing shooter with some really cool environments, some dynamic enemy encounters, and just good shit. Really cool lore, fearsome enemies, and a really interesting and unique tone that you don't really see in other first-person shooter campaigns today. Of course, things would go even crazier with Killzone 3, but Killzone 2 was the one to really break through, where the original Killzone just kind of felt like a messy first-person PlayStation 2 game where like things weren't always really figured out the greatest back then in terms of first-person shooters. Killzone 2 really locked it down and solidified Killzone as one of the good console first-person shooter single-player campaigns. I mean, if we're talking about Killzone 2 being 15 years old, let's just talk about how long it's been since we've had a decent freaking Killzone game. They're killing me with this. Next over at number 7, we have Skate 2, which released in 2009. It wasn't too far off from the original Skate, but we'll talk Skate 2 because it was awesome. I don't know about you guys, but Skate 3 to me is really the definitive one, but still, the fact that Skate 2 is like 15 years old is absolutely wild because it's worth taking a look back at a time where there were just so many more extreme sports games. At this point, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games were kind of all over the place, but Skate was going pretty strong, and there's a reason why people are still clamoring for more Skate to this day. EA has said that they are making a new Skate game, and although we haven't seen too much of it, it does look pretty sweet. But man, the original Skate and Skate 2, to be honest, don't really feel like they're 15 years old. I mean, Skate 2 visually looks alright, and it's worth pointing out that they just like really cranked out 3 Skate games in a pretty short period of time. But it's a franchise where, like, looking back, it seems like it's a newer franchise. It's actually getting pretty long in the teeth. Long in the tooth? I don't even really know what that phrase means, but I'm just saying it. It's old now. Next, over at number 6, Crysis, believe it or not, is pretty old. It released in November 2007, and actually going back to that original game, not the remastered or like remade one, the original game, it's pretty rough, dude. It's nowhere near as fun as we remember it being. It looks okay still, but this is a game that, like that original version, now feels kind of old. But it's crazy to think about because at the time it released in 2007, November to be exact, this thing was on the cutting edge. We've talked so many times before about the meme of can it run Crysis and how everyone's PCs really struggled to handle this beast of a game. This beast that now in hindsight doesn't look that impressive, but still, sometimes if you catch it at the right light, or again, like the remastered, remade ones, it does still look really impressive. To think that that was 15 years ago is really wild. While Crysis 1 had the visuals, Crysis 2 and 3 really ran with the whole gameplay concepts. And it's funny that we're talking about Crysis being 15 years old because there is a Crysis 4 in the works. I mean, do we think we're going to see it in 2023? We don't know. We hope so, but something is in the works and we're curious to see if it's going to feel as much of a leap as the original Crysis was 15 long years ago. Next, over at number 5, the original Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl, released in March of 2007. This was a big game, specifically for PC players, because it was kind of like a one-of-a-kind first-person shooter with good, solid survival horror elements in a post-apocalyptic setting. The story was completely non-linear, it had a bunch of cool RPG stuff to it, and it just felt like good old-fashioned PC immersive sim gameplay, but with a dash of good old survival horror and post-apocalypticness. It was like just the perfect formula to really nail it and win the hearts of many PC players. But it's been so long. 2007 was a long time ago. Thankfully, these games have continued to have a lot of life, a lot of legs, specifically not only because they're making a new game in the series, hopefully we're going to see this year or in 2024, but also because mods, like even just publishing this year, have made this game look absolutely incredible. I mean, check out this on screen here from YouTuber Sidorovich Jr. This is Stalker with mods that make it look absolutely insane. This is Stalker Anomaly, and it's in 4K with a bunch of mods, and it looks like something else. It really holds up, and the best part is that a lot of the gameplay elements, a lot of the RPG systems also still hold up to this day. If you've never played a Stalker game, but you're looking forward to the new one, and you're a PC player, even if you're new to PC gaming, you should jump into one of these, mods or not, because even though it's 15 years old, it's pretty damn cool. And next, over at number 4, it's a little older than 15 years, but it's still worth giving props to Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2 is very significant because it's a Half-Life game and it's absolutely incredible, but also the fact that it was very ahead of its time with a lot of its physics systems. This game had so many objects that you could pick up and manipulate, and they all behaved and felt like real-world objects. A lot of this also translated over to puzzles, which involved you using these real-world objects to manipulate things and open a door or get access to something in the game. It was incredibly creative and really really cool, and there was nothing else like it at the time, and to this day, Half-Life 2 continues to kick ass. From modders to people putting it in VR, to people recreating it, to people changing it, tweaking, I mean, even building entirely new games from it. Half-Life 2 has done a lot in more than 15 years. It's worth pointing out that like it released November of 2004, but it didn't just release and it was a great game and everyone played it and everybody loved it. No, this game continued to live and just kind of spread its tendrils throughout gaming and internet culture. And you love to see it because Gordon Freeman rules. End of story. Next, over at number 3, we're pushing this one a little bit, but in 2009, we had Batman Arkham Asylum. Yeah, Arkham Asylum, the original Batman Arkham game, is getting up there in years. It was a very interesting time for this game releasing because the past few Batman games before this just kind of felt like licensed crappy games. I mean, the Batman Begins game was okay, but really, Batman and comic book games didn't have a lot going for them, and then Arkham Asylum came out of nowhere and was absolutely incredible. The reviews were great, the hype was there, people ran out and got it, and it turned out the reviews were correct, the game was awesome, and it set the stage for the future of Batman games. And it influenced game design going forward. The combat system, the way it embraced Metroidvania stuff and kind of molded that into a Batman framework was just so cool, and so many other games and franchises tried to take that combo combat formula and apply it in new and interesting ways. And Rocksteady would go on and make a bunch of other awesome Batman Arkham games, and now who knows what they're doing next with the Suicide Squad game, but Batman Arkham Asylum, when that released, man, what a time. You just had to be there. The excitement, the anticipation for a new Batman game, something that was completely new and fresh and different, a different look at the character, and again with Kevin Conroy voicing, and for it to come out and actually be good was just so great. Next, over at number 2, we have Mirror's Edge, which released in 2008. It's a really long time ago, and it feels to me like this game just came out. Also, when you look at it visually, it still holds up fairly well. Maybe not resolution-wise or like some things here and there, but I think it was just a testament to how the game was designed, with everything being pretty clean and minimalist and simple. That really helps it stand the test of time. Still, I mean, man, the fact that it's like 15 years old is wild. And it's a shame that we haven't seen too much more from Mirror's Edge. I mean, I got the sequel, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, a couple of years later, but that was really it. If anything, the original Mirror's Edge, for its flaws and all, was incredibly revolutionary. Just a really cool concept, and just how it took parkour, free-running gameplay, and applied it to first person. Now, in 2023, there are some games that maybe have done it better, but none of them really have that distinct, weird, cool feel that the original Mirror's Edge had. Now down to number 1, Grand Theft Auto 4, believe it or not, released April of 2008. This game has been around the block, and when you look at it to this day, I mean, yeah, it's rough around the edges, but 15 years old, I wouldn't think that right off the bat, considering the Liberty City they built up here, incredibly inspired by New York, is absolutely stunning to see in motion still to this day, from the level of detail to the creativity and interpretation of the different neighborhoods and vibes to the NPCs on the streets. Everything about this game was really ahead of its time. They were on overdrive when they built the world of Liberty City here. Then, of course, the physics, characters getting shot, characters falling downstairs, the weight of Nico as he runs, jumps, climbs, all of that was way ahead of its time, and it's another game that went on to live for a long time. Modders and all types of creative people are keeping this game alive to this day and making it look better and better. It's absolutely downright stunning sometimes when modders get all the right things going. Even though the Windows version is like really jacked up on a base level, people have done some great things, and Grand Theft Auto 4 is definitely gonna go down in the history books as one of the good ones. I mean, we're biased. We've talked so many times before how much we love this one specifically, but yeah. So those are some old ass games that we wanted to talk about today. I don't mean that old, like I mean no disrespect, but some surprisingly old games today. And we want to see how this works as a series. So let us know what you think about this trip down memory lane and what other games you'd want to talk about from 15 years ago or 20 years ago or whatever. Is there a game that you looked up when it originally released and you were totally surprised by how old it actually is? Let's talk about those down in the comments. Anything you got for us, hit us up for ideas for another video. But if you like this one, clicking the like button helps us out. Thank you. But we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.